What's going on? How's everyone getting on? Today I'm going to be bringing you 6 tips on how to write better lyrics. If you're new to my channel, I upload new videos every week, at least once a week. So if you're not subscribed, you should be. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff. Enjoy the video. I just want to preface this by saying that this is just my own experience. None of these are rules, they're guidelines to help you out. If you're a new songwriter, they're going to be especially helpful because you don't have your own process yet. But if you're an experienced songwriter, sometimes you just need to be reminded of these things. Hopefully you'll find that helpful as well. So tip number 1 is to write about what you know. A huge mistake that a lot of new songwriters make is they pick subjects that they don't really know a lot about or they don't have personal experience with. It's very hard to write accurate, genuine lyrics. Sincerity in a song is very important. The issue there is that if you write about something that you don't know about, someone who has experienced that, when they listen to the song, they're going to think, that's not how it feels. So it's very important that you pick a subject that you know a lot about, something that you have personally experienced, something you can personally relate to. You're just going to be able to more accurately portray it. Your lyrics are going to be more sincere, more honest, more genuine. There's not too much to say about that. It's just I think it's a very important guideline when you're starting out. It's just same as writing a book. You don't write about something you don't know about, so why would you write a song about something you don't know about? Pretty simple anyway. Tip number 2 is to write the way you speak. I see this mistake all the time. People will they'll say something like, the ocean was iridescent or something. And it's like, you've never used that word in your life, so why would you throw it in a song? It doesn't sound natural. It doesn't sound like something you would say. So it comes back down to that key thing of sincerity and genuity. Is that a word? I don't think so. I think you know what I'm trying to say. An honest, genuine lyric wouldn't be something that you wouldn't normally say. A friend of mine, someone wrote a song for him, and my friend he'd say it as it is, he'd say it very straightforward, and the song was very flowery with loads of similes and stuff like that, and it just didn't sound right because that's not the way he spoke, so it just didn't sound sincere. So that's a pretty easy thing to stick to, but write the way you speak. Tip number 3 is don't write backwards grammatically. And basically what I mean by this is essentially don't write lyrics as if you're Yoda. It just doesn't work. I get it, I've done it. Every one of these is a mistake I've done. So this is learning through my failure. A lot of new songwriters, to try and make something fit in or to try and get something to rhyme, they'll be like, get in the car, she did. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, So please don't do that. It doesn't sound right. You will find examples of this in hit songs. I think everyone can agree that even though you can't find these examples in hit songs, it definitely does make the song worse. There's definitely a better way of doing it, and just because you find it in a hit song doesn't necessarily make it the right way. A song can still be successful and have flaws, but really don't write backwards grammatically. It comes back to the same thing about sincerity and being genuine, and it's not the way you would say something, so why would you write it that way? So, tip number 4, the chorus needs to reflect the main idea of the song. Whatever your song is trying to say, the chorus needs to say it. The verse is like the backstory and it fills in all the details, fleshes the song out, but the chorus really needs to nail down, nail down the main idea of the song and just hammer that home. So if you listen to the chorus and you have no idea what the song is about, it's not going to work. It's just not. A lot of times you see people do a thing where their choruses sound like verses or vice versa. What I would say is if it sounds like a verse, it probably is a verse. Pretty simple. The chorus doesn't really add so many new elements or so much new backstory. It kind of just reiterates the main point of the song. The verse is really for all those little details and fleshing it out, but the chorus, just stick to trying to reiterate what you're trying to say with the song, how the song is going to relate to other people. There's another key one. So tip number 5, every line should make sense with the line that comes before and the line that comes after it. You don't want a lyric that's just way out of left field and that's not right, way out of left field. But you don't want a lyric that doesn't make sense with what's come before it and what's come after it. Definitely if you're starting out, I would write in a very chronological way, a very storytelling way. It's probably just the easiest, the way that makes the most sense when you're starting out writing. But even so, as you get a bit more advanced, unless you're writing something kind of experimental or something that kind of has an anti-plot, you know, like Smells Like Teen Spirit, they're all kind of, it's more or less a jumble of words. I can't really think of an example off the top of my head, but just make sure that they make sense in relation to one another. There's nothing worse than it just doesn't make any sense, and it just really undercuts your whole song. Make sure your lines make sense with the other lines. Sounds simple, but you would be surprised at how often that is overlooked. So tip number 6 is analyze your favorite songs for their lyrics, their structures, their themes. This is super useful. Just find songs that you love. There's a reason you love them, so try and figure out why that is. What about that song makes you love it? Chord structures, rhyming schemes, lyrical devices. You're not writing a thesis on it, but just listen to your songs with a bit of an analytical side engaged and think about what it is about that song that makes you like it so much. From there, you can try and emulate that in your own songs. So it's a really useful way of learning to write songs. I used to do this all the time, just take a song that I loved, figure out the structure of it, the way the lyrics were laid out, even how many lines were in each verse, because that's a big difference. That's a whole nother story, but odd and uneven numbers of lines and things like that has a huge impact on how your song sounds. So saying something 3 times versus saying something 4 times, there's a huge difference in the effect that creates, but that's another video. So my bonus tip for you guys, this is probably the most important thing in terms of lyric writing that I could tell any songwriter. I'm honestly sure that everyone has experienced this. My bonus tip is stop critiquing your lyrics while you're writing them. This is so huge. It's kind of hard to overstate it. And it's just a problem that pretty much everyone faces, is that when they're trying to write lyrics, at the same time they're writing them, they're analyzing them and figuring out whether they're good or bad lyrics or how they could be better. And the problem with this is that you kind of end up shooting yourself in the foot, and you end up writing nothing, because everything you write you're like, oh, it's not quite good enough. You really do just end up writing nothing. So you need to turn off your editorial mode. I always start by like word vomit on a page. I'll just write whatever comes into my head. It could be awful. Most of the times it probably will be, but you will get good stuff, or you'll get stuff that you can refine. And the songwriting process is really like a distillation process. You start out with a huge array of lyrics and you're going to distill it down, you're going to refine it down. You'll end up at the end with a nice refined set of lyrics. But it doesn't start out that way. You don't write the final draft of the lyrics. And that's really the issue, is that you do have to write that rough draft. You have to start there, and if you're trying to edit that as you're doing it, you just get in the way, and you get in your own way. You get in your own way and you stop yourself from writing. You need to make a distinction in your writing process between when you're trying to create and when you're trying to edit. And at the start, you just need to create. You just need to write whatever comes in. You can critique it, you can distill it, you can refine it, you can really hone it down and perfect it afterwards. You can't start out that way. Just doesn't work. So that's my 6 tips and my bonus tip.